Everyone, please turn on your cameras. So we have rules of inference and proof by contradiction. And after that, sir explained you the quantifiers and predicates, right? So with that, your first unit is completed, ma. So anyone is having doubts in the first unit, please let me know. Did every one of you understand the whole first unit? Because in the first week of May, you will be having the first unit test. You are going to have unit test 1 in the first week, mostly on 2nd or 3rd, mostly on May 2nd. Am I audible to everyone? I request everyone please to turn on your cameras, otherwise I'll not give you attendance. Anyhow, you got the message yesterday, no? You have to turn on your cameras then only you will get the attendance. Otherwise, we'll mark absent. Am I audible to everyone? So everyone, please turn on your cameras. Everyone. So any doubts in the first unit, ma? Did you all understand the first unit? Yes? Okay. So then we'll start with the second unit from revision. Means any one topic you want, or you want me to explain the whole unit 72? So okay, if you other than other than 72, any other doubts, ma? Okay, you do one thing. Today is Wednesday, right? You have one more class on Friday. Friday. Okay. So before the first unit test, let us suppose if the unit test is on second, on first I'll revise the first unit, the complete first unit I'll revise the day before your first unit examination, right? So by that time, if any one of you are having any other doubts other than the last part which 72 has said, okay, so you please let me know. I'll try to concentrate more on those topics. So you want me to explain predicates and quantifies, okay? Is it okay for you all? Before the first unit, the day before the first unit, I'll revise the first unit. In that, I'll include that predicates and quantifiers topic also, so that it will you will also have the revision part for your in unit test examination. Is it clear? Okay, so now I'll start the second unit. Today I'll start the second unit. Your second unit is set theory. Can anyone tell me what is a set? In your intermediate, you have so your second unit is just the revision of that, almost all. The revision of that is your second unit. So you'll be discussing sets, different types of sets, operations on sets. In the same way, we'll discuss functions and relationships. Right? All those we'll discuss. Yes, collection of objects. A set is a collection of objects, or sometimes we'll call them objects as elements or members of a set. Right? So, one second. Is my screen visible to everyone? One second. Is it visible now? Is the screen visible? Yes, okay. So second unit is a set theory. Right? So what is a set? Set means it is an, as you said, it is an unordered collection of objects. Set means unordered collection of objects or elements or members. Objects or elements or members. Right? So set means it is an unordered collection of objects. Right? Sometimes we'll call it as elements and members. Right? Let us consider a set with the name. Every set will have a name. Let us assume that a set is having a name as A, where the set contains the elements A, E, I, O. What does it mean? The set is having the elements which are vowels of English alphabet. Vowels of English alphabet. Right? So a set here, the set named as A, and it contains the elements. What type of elements are these? These are the vowels of your English alphabets. Right? Similarly, consider one more set B. Let us assume that this set contains the elements all odd integers. The set contains all odd integers less than 10. So here the name of a set is B. It contains the element X, where X belongs to, what does X represent? The elements are odd integers, and odd integers are less than 10. Then what elements you can have in the set? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So these are the elements in the set. Clear, ma? In the same way, if you have a set with the name as C, which contains element X, where X belongs to even integers less than 10, then what you can have? 2, 4, 6, 8, that's it. 2, 4, 6, 8. 10 is not included because it is not less than or equal to. Like this, a set contains set of unordered collection of objects. Unordered collection of objects. One more time, I am reminding everyone, please turn on your cameras. Everyone, turn on your cameras. What about others? 6H, 6A, 68. So, different types of sets we are having. Do you know what are the different types of sets we have? Can anyone tell me what are different types of sets we have? Different types of sets. Yes, singleton set. Empty set, very good. Null set. Empty set and null set, both are same. Power set, finite set, very good. So you remember your intermediate topics very well, I think. Infinite set, yes, very good. Equal set, very good. Right? So what you said all are correct. So let me revise once. Different types of sets. First type of set is finite set. Finite set. So finite set means a set contains finite number of elements. Finite number of elements. So previously I explained one example, right? A set contains all positive integers less than 10. So how many you can have, ma? You can have only 2, 4, 6, 8. That means finite number of elements you can have in the set. So I can call this as a finite set. So if the number of elements in the set are countable, then we can say that as a finite set. If the number of elements, the count of the elements in the set is known, then we can call it as a finite set. Right? So similarly, B equal to set of all integers less than 10. So this is also a finite set. So this is the first category of the set, finite set. A finite set means it contains finite number of elements. Finite number of elements. Right? Now the second category is, second type of sets are infinite sets. Infinite sets. So infinite sets mean something opposite to finite set. Opposite to finite set. Finite set means what? It contains finite number of elements in the set. The set contains finite number of elements. So opposite to this is infinite set. So which contains infinite number of elements. Infinite number of elements. So infinite set means the count, the number of elements present in the set are not countable. We don't know how many elements will present in the infinite set. That is something infinity. So you don't know the value of infinity, right? So infinite set contains infinite number of elements. Can anyone tell me example for infinite set? What is the example for infinite set? Yes, x greater than 10. All positive, all integers are infinite sets. Similarly, all natural numbers are infinite sets. All real numbers are also infinite sets. Right? So, as you said, if a set contains the elements 1, 2, 3, so on up to infinity, we can say that this is infinite set. Similarly, one more set x, where x belongs to z. What is z, ma? Set of all integers. All integers means what? It includes both positive and negative integer. So what elements you can have in the set? Minus infinity to plus infinity. So this is also one infinite set. Similarly, we can have a set with x belongs to n, where n is set of natural numbers. Natural numbers means what? It includes only the positive numbers from 0 to infinity. 0 to infinity. Clear? So similarly, if you have a set where x belongs to z plus, what is z, ma? I said z is set of all integers. That means it includes the numbers from minus infinity to plus infinity. If it is z plus, so it is set of all positive integers. That means it contains the numbers from 1 to infinity. This minus infinity part will be discarded. Clear? Is it clear for you all? So this is the second category of the set, which is your infinite set. Now coming to the third category, that is singleton set. Singleton set. So in the name itself, we have the word single. Single means only one. Only one. So singleton set means a set contains only one element. If a set contains only one element, then we'll call it as a singleton set. Okay. Now the fourth category of the sets is null set. Null set. It is also known as empty set. Null set or empty set. So null means nothing, zero. So if a set contains no elements, if there are no elements in a set, then we'll call it as an empty set. Generally, it is represented with the phi symbol, or sometimes we can represent this flower braces, empty flower braces. Generally, we are using these flower braces to include the set elements, right? If the set elements are something like 1, 2, 3, we'll write the elements of the set within the flower braces. So if it is empty set, there are no elements in the set. So you can just simply write the empty flower braces, which also represents the empty set. Either you can represent with the phi symbol, or you can represent empty flower braces. The null set can be represented like this. Right? That is your fourth category of the set. Now the fifth category is equal sets. Equal sets. Equal sets means any two sets are said to be equal. For equality, we'll use this equal symbol, right? So any two sets are said to be equal when if and only if both the sets are having the same elements. So two sets are said to be equal only when they have the same elements. So what is the condition to be satisfied? You can say that A and B are equal. A and B are equal if and only if for every element X. For every element X. What is the condition? Both the sets should have the same elements, right? So for every X, if X belongs to A, double equals to X belongs to B. Double tends to X belongs to B. What is this symbol represents? This is used for biconditional statement, right? This is used for biconditional statement. Do you remember the truth table for biconditional statement? Do you remember the truth table for biconditional statement? Yes. So whenever both the values are same, if both the values are same, that value can be anything. If both are same, then the result will be true. In other two cases, the result will be false. In other cases, the result will be false. So both should be same. Here I can say that both the values are equal, or I can say both the values should be same. So in the same way, here for equal sets also, both the sets should have the same values. That is the reason I have written this condition here. So for every element X, that element should belongs to A and the element should also belongs to B. That is the reason we have used this biconditional statement. Is it clear, ma? Let us see some examples for this equal set. Assume that two sets we have. One set A is having the elements 1, 3, 5. And one more set is there, B, which contains the elements 3, 1, 5. Now, can anyone tell me whether A and B are equal or not? Is A and B are equal or not? Tell me. Equal. Why? Because what is the definition of A? A and B are said to be equal when they have the same elements. That means if the element present in A, the same should be there in B. So here you have 1 in A. Do we have the same 1 in B? We have 3 in A, same 3 in A. 5 is there in A, 5 is there in B. So same elements were present in both the sets, then we can say that A and B are equal. In the same way, let us consider A equal to 1, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5. And B equal to 3, 5, 1. Now tell me whether A and B are equal or not. Is A and B are equal or not? Yes, equal. Why? Because as per the definition of equal set, both should have the same elements. The elements should be same, irrespective of their count. So here we have 1 here. What are the different elements you have in A? 1, 3, 5. We have the same elements in B also. Even though we have the count does not match, but the content match. So the content of A and B is same. If the content of A and B is same, then we can say that they are equal sets, right? So that is the fifth category of set. Now the next category of sets is Equivalence of sets. Equivalence of set. Equal sets means what? Both should have the same elements, right? So equivalence, when we say that two sets A and B are equivalent with each other. Equivalent with each other. When, if, what is the condition to be satisfied? If there is one-to-one correspondence between A and B. A and B are the two given set. We can say that they are equivalent with each other whenever there is a one-to-one correspondence between the elements of A and B. A and B. That means if in case of equal sets, the elements should be the same, irrespective of their count. But here, one-to-one relation should be there means, assume that A is having the elements 1, 2, 3, 4. B is having the elements some A, B, C, D. Do we have a one-to-one correspondence here? Yes. We have a one-to-one correspondence here. Then we can say that these two are equivalent with each other. They are not equal set. They are equivalent with each other, but they are not equal set. So because the content is different, so they are not equal. But there is a one-to-one correspondence. That means the count of both the sets is same. Then we can say that they are equivalent with each other. Clear? So in the for the last, what is the last example? A contains 1, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5. And B contains some 1, 3, 5. Right? We are saying that these two are equal set. Why? Because they are having the same element. But they are not equivalent with each other. Not equivalent. Why? Because there is no one-to-one correspondence. So there is no one-to-one correspondence for the last three elements of A. So they are equal, but they are not equivalent. So that is what the difference between equal sets and equivalence of sets. Equal sets means the sets will have the same elements. Two sets are said to be equivalent if the count of both the sets match. Did you understand the difference? Yes? Okay. And the next category is subset. What is a subset of a set? So generally subset is represented with this symbol. We can say that A is subset of B. A is the subset of B if every element of A presents in B. If every element of A present in B, then we can say that A is subset of B. That means whatever is there in A, that should be there in B. Along with those elements, B may have more elements. Along with the elements of A, B can have more elements, but all the elements of A should be present in B. Then we can say that A is the subset of B. So that means you can write this like this. For every element X, the element should be whatever the elements you have in A, the same element should be there in B. The same elements should be there in B. Right? So you can also write. If it is equal sets, then you will have a biconditional statement here, biconditional operator here. But if it is a subset, that means whatever is there in A, that should be there in B. So you can have a conditional statement here. Okay? For example, the examples for set are, I can say that Rule number 5. What are your rule numbers? Okay, 1 second. 57A, rule number 57A, 583. Let us assume that these students are subset of this set second year CSCD. Can I say like this, ma? So the students with the rule number 7A and 83 are the subset of second year, subset of the set. Which set it is? The set is named as second year CSCD. So what elements you can have in second year CSCD? All the 60 members will be there. The rule numbers of all the 60 members will be there in second year C along with this 7A and 83. So therefore you can say this. In the same way, I can say that second year CSCD is a subset of CSC department. A subset of CSA department. Clear? In the same way, I can also say that second year CSC department is a subset of KMIT. Is a subset of KMIT. Right? So these are all subsets only. Second year CSC department belongs to KMIT. Second year CSCD is a part of your CSC department. So this is a subset of your CSC department. So this is what a subset means. And the next one is power set. Next one is power set. So let us assume that A is a set. You are given with a set A. The power set of A is represented as P of A. P of A. Always the power set contains two compulsory elements. Two compulsory elements in power set are, one is the null set and the one is the given set itself. The given set itself. Right? So the power set contains all the subset of the given set. All the subsets of the given set will be there in the power set. So all the subsets of A will be there in power set, right? So the two compulsory elements were, one is the null set. Why? Because null set is always the power set. Sorry, null set is always the subset for any given set. Similarly, the set itself is a subset for every set. The set itself is a subset, right? For example, if you take A as an empty set, B as some set 1, 2, 3. As per the definition of subset, what is the definition of subset? Everything in A should be there in B. What is there in A? Nothing. So that nothing is there in B. Therefore, you can say that empty set is always a subset. Similarly, assume that A equal to 1, 2 and similarly B equal to 1, 2. I can also say that A is a subset of B. That means whatever is there in A, that is there in B. So the given set itself is a subset and an empty set is always a subset for every given set. Right? Now see the power set. So power set always contains the subsets of all the subsets of the given set. Let us take one example. Consider a set contains the elements 0, 1, 2. Whenever the number of elements in a set are n, when the number of elements in a set are n, here the number of elements are 3, 1, 2, 3. Always the power set contains 2 power n element. The power set contains 2 power n element. So here power set of A should contain 8 elements. So I already told you that the two compulsory elements in the power set are, one is the null set, one is the set itself. So these two are the compulsory sets. Now the remaining subsets are 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 0, 2. Next we'll have 0, 1, 2, which I have already written. So when you count this, how many we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, 1, 2 is also there. So here we'll have one more element, 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Total 8 elements are there. So this is correct. So whenever the number of elements in a set are n, its power set always contains 2 power n elements. Clear? So these are the different types of set. Am I not audible? 520? Is everyone having the same problem? 520, you check from your side, ma. From my side, I think there is no problem. Okay. 520, you check from your side. Maybe you have some network issue from your side. So these are all the different types of sets. So what we have discussed, first type is finite sets. First type of set is finite set. Next is infinite sets. Next, singleton set, empty set or null set, equal sets, equivalence of sets, subset, and power set. So these are the different category of the sets we have discussed. So is it clear? All the types of sets? Okay. So whenever you want to represent the sets in a graphical manner, how can we represent the sets in a graphical manner? Can you tell me how to represent the sets in a graphical manner? Yes, Venn diagram. Very good. So Venn diagrams are used to represent the sets in a graphical manner. Always in a Venn diagram, you will be having one universal set. Universal set means what? The set which contains all the elements, the set that contains all the elements, and this universal set is represented with a rectangle. Within this universal set, you can write whatever the sets you can have, and you can represent them with circles. You can represent the different sets in this universal set with circles, right? So let us suppose if a set is having all the vowels, then how can we represent? You can represent like this. And if you want to represent this in a graphical manner, how can we represent? You will use a circle and you will just include the elements of the set in this. So here this set A represents all the vowels of English alphabet is your universal set. Here what is your universal set? The universal set is your English alphabet. So in this English alphabet, it contains all the elements. Yes. So all the elements will be there in this universal set. So from these all the elements, I have considered vowels in one set. So vowels in one set, right? And how to represent the subset using the Venn diagram? If you want to represent the subset, then you can represent. Let us assume that A is a subset of B. A is a subset of B. Then it can be represented like this. A is a subset of B. Clear? Now we will see different operations that you can perform on a set. So let us take some 5 minutes of break. After that, I'll discuss operations on sets. Let's discuss the different operations you can perform on sets. I think, tell me what are the different operations you can perform? What are the different operations you can perform on sets? Yes, ma'am. What are the operations we can perform on sets? Yes, union. Very good. Union, intersection, difference, so on, right? So let me discuss all those. The first operations, the first operation that we can perform on a set is union. Union of sets, right? So assume that A and B are the two sets. The union of A and B is represented with this symbol, A union B, right? So this is a set. It contains those elements that are present either in A or in B or in both A and B. So A union B, A and B are the two sets. Then A union B is a set contains those elements that are present either in A or in B or in both. Right? Consider one example. So you can also write this like this. A union B is equal to X, which contains elements X, where X belongs to A or X belongs to B. The elements in either A or in B or in both. Right? Let us see one example. A is a set which contains the elements 1, 3, 5. A is one set that contains the elements 1, 3, 5. B is one more set which contains the elements 2, 4, 6. Okay? So now find A union B. What is A union B? It contains the elements of A, either A or B or in both. So you can write this like this: 1, 3, 5 union 2, 4, 6. Now A union B contains 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6. So these are the elements in A union B. Clear? Similarly, assume that A is a set that contains an element X where X belongs to set of all integers, that is Z, and the condition is X greater than or equal to 1 and less than 5. Similarly, B is also having the element X where X belongs to Z, all integers, and the condition is it greater than 5 and less than 10. Now tell me what elements you can have in A greater than 0, that is 1, 2, 3 and less than 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 are the elements in A. Similarly in B, greater than 4, that is 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Why? Because it is less than 10. The upper condition is less than 10. Now A union B contains what? A union B. It contains the elements of A, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and the elements of B, that is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in this way, you can calculate A union B. if you want to represent this A union B with a Venn diagram, right? So always Venn diagram contains one universal set which is represented with this rectangle. So here we have two sets A and B. A and B are the two sets. So A and B, A union B means what? A union B means elements of A and elements of B. Both are included. So this shaded area will be your A union B. So all the elements of A and B are included. So this is your A union B. Clear, ma? Second operation is A intersection. Second operation is intersection. So A and B are the two sets. Then the intersection of A and B is represented like this: A intersection B, and it contains those elements that are present in both A and B. So let A and B are the two sets, then their intersection is represented with the symbol intersection A and B, and it is a set that contains the elements which are present in both A and B. That is, the common elements of A and B will be there in the intersection, right? So that is A intersection B. You can write this like this: A intersection B is equal to X, where X should belongs to A, and means it is a conjunction symbol, and it should also belongs to B. X belongs to A and X belongs to B. And how to represent the Venn diagram for this? This is the universal set. A is one set and B is another set. This is A and this is B. So the common part of A union B, which is common for both A and B, that is your intersection. So only this shaded area will be your intersection. So this is your A intersection B. A intersection B. Clear? See one example. Assume that a set A contains the elements 1, 2, 4, 6, something like this, and B contains the elements 4, 6, 8, 10. 4, 6, 8, 10. Now what is A intersection B? A intersection B contains the elements which presents in both A and B. Now what are the elements that presents in both A and B? 1 is present in only A, so not included. 2 only in A. So this 4 is present in both A and B. So the intersection contains 4. Similarly, 6 is also present in both A and B. So 6 is also included. 8 is not there in A, 10 is also not. So A intersection B contains only the two elements 4 and 6. Now one more is A is a set which contains the elements X, where X belongs to set of all integers and the condition is it greater than 1 and less than 6. Similarly, B is a set which contains the elements Y which belongs to all the integers where the condition is it greater than 7 and less than 12. Greater than 7 and less than 12. Now, when you are asked to calculate A intersection B, find out A intersection B. First, we should know what is there in A. A contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Intersection, what is there in B? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right? So, now what are the common elements in A and B? Do we have any common elements in A and B? No, there is no common element. That is empty set. It is an empty set. So, whenever the intersection of two sets results an empty set, if the two sets intersection results an empty set, then we will call those two sets as disjoint sets. Disjoint sets. Clear? So here the intersection of A and B is an empty set. Therefore, A and B are disjoint sets. A and B are disjoint sets. Clear? So that is your intersection. Next operation is difference. Difference. Assume that A and B are the two sets. The difference of A and B is represented as A minus B. It contains the elements which are in A but not in B. A minus B. The difference of two sets A minus B, A and B, is represented as A minus B. It contains those elements which are present in A but which are not there in B. Right? So you can write this as A minus B contains an element X where X belongs to A but and it should not belongs to B. X should be there and it should not be there in B. Right? So when you see the Venn diagram for A minus B, it will be like this. This is your A, this is your B. A, B, and this is your universal. So the difference means what? It should be there in A but not in B. So this is the common area. So this is the common area for A and B. That means B is also included in this. But only the A part should be there in difference. So this shaded part will be your difference. That is your A minus B. A minus B. Clear? Let us see one example. Now, assume that A equal to some 1, 3, 5 and B equal to some 2, 3, 6. Now, what is this A minus B? A minus B means what? It should be there in A, but it should not be there in B, right? So, 1, it is there in A, but it is not there in B. So, it will be there in A minus B. 3, it is there in both A and B. So, that will not be included. 5, it is there in A, but not there in B. So, 1, 5 is the answer. 1, 5 will be your A minus B. So, similarly, for the same set, if you are asked to calculate B minus A, then what is this? Which is there in A but not in B. 2 is there in B. The element should be there in B but should not be there in A. So, 2 is there in B but not there in A. 3 is there in B and A. So, not included. 6, it is there in B but not there in B. So, B A minus B will give you the result, has given you the result 1, 5 and B minus A gave you the result as 2, C. With this, we can say that A minus B is not equivalent to B minus A. A minus B is not equal to B minus A. So what is the Venn diagram for B minus A? B minus A means the elements should present only in B but not in A. So this part will be your B minus A. This shaded part will be your B minus A. Clear, ma? And the last operation is complement. Complement. The last operation we can perform on set C is complement. So the complement of A is generally represented with A bar, or the complement of a set A is represented with A bar, or you can represent A power C. Okay? So it means the complement of A, assume that U is any universal set, then the complement of A is written as, the complement of A can be written as U minus A. That means the complement of A will contains the elements present in the universal set but not in A. A complement. Complement means what? Generally it is not. Not. Complement means not. So A means, assume that something is there in A. Some 1, 2, 3, 4 are there in A. A complement means the elements which are not in A. A contains 1, 2. A complement will contains other than 1, 2. It contains any other elements. Right? So A complement means the elements will present in the universal set but not in A. Everything but not in A. It contains everything but it should not be there in A. Right? So when you draw the So when you try to draw the universal set, Venn diagram, assume that this is one universal set. So A complement means what? Not in A. Everything not in A. Or you can write this like this. U minus A. Present in U but not in A. So the A complement will be this. So other than this A, everything will be included in A complement. So all the shaded area will be your A complement. Clear? So if you assume that A contains all the ovals, set of all ovals, then what this A complement will contain? Other than ovals. What alphabets you can have other than ovals? That is your consonants. Consonants. Okay? Or you can say that U minus A. U is what here? Here your U is set of all English alphabets. U is set of all English alphabets. Okay? So from all these 26 English alphabets, if you subtract the 5 ovals, then left over 21 consonants will be there in A components. A complement. Clear, ma'am? So what are the operations we have on sets? Just revise what are the operations you can have on sets. First operation you can have is union. Union means what? The elements present in A and A or B. Either A or B or both in A and B. Second operation is intersection. Intersection contains the elements which are present in both A and B. Both A and B. Next, third one is, so here when you are performing this intersection, if the intersection of any two elements results a null set, then we can say that they are disjoint sets. If the intersection of any two sets is an empty set, then we'll call those sets as disjoint sets. Next operation you can perform is a difference operation. Difference means A minus B. That means it includes the elements present in A but not in B. Similarly, the last one is complement. Complement means what? Not. The elements that are not present in A, not present in A, or you can write it as the elements present in U but not in A. That will be there in complement set. Clear? So this can be written like this. A complement equal to, it contains the elements X where X should not be there in A. X should not be there in A. It can also be written as A complement equal to X where X should be there in U but should not be there in A. Should not be there in A. Clear? So these are the different operations that we can perform on sets. What is the 12, ma? Okay, the last example. Okay, maybe by mistake I have written, it's okay. But you understood the concept or not? That is important. Yes, did you all understand what I have explained till now? Okay. Let's see some 2 to 3 examples now. Assume that a universal set is given like this: 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let us assume a universal set with 10 elements, and A contains the elements 1, 3, 5. B contains 2, 4, 6, 8. One more set is there, C, which contains 2, 5, 10. Now you are supposed to calculate, prove that A and B complement is equal to A complement union B complement. Can you tell me which law it is? In the first unit, we have discussed different laws, right? Which law it is? A and B complement is equal to A complement union B complement. Which law, ma? Yes, very good. De Morgan's law. So you can also have one more De Morgan's law, that is like A union B complement is equal to A complement and B complement. So you need to prove this for the given example. Similarly, third example is A and B union C is equal to A and B union A and C. Now, which law it is, ma? The third one. Which law it is? Yes, very good. The distributive law. So, this is distributive law. Similarly, you can have one more distributive law. A union B intersection C is equal to A union B intersection A union C. So, for this given example, you have to solve or you have to prove all these 4 conditions. Right? I'll explain first 1 and 3 and you solve 2 and 4. I'll explain 1 and 3, you solve 2 and 4. Right? So let us discuss first one. Shall I erase this? Let me take the sets. Universal set contains universal set contains the elements from 1 to 10, and A contains 1, 3, 5. B contains 2, 4, 6, 8, I think, and C contains 2, 5, 10. Yes. Right. Now what you need to find out first? I'll explain the first one, which is A and B complement equal to A complement union B complement. So first I'll take the LHS part. I'll derive the LHS part. I'll get some answer, and the same way I'll derive the RHS part. We'll get an answer. If both are equal, then the condition is true. First, the LHS part is A and B complement. So first what we have to do? First you need to find A and B. That is A intersection B. So 1, 3, 5 intersection 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Now what is the result, ma'am? What is the result? Do we have any common elements between A and B? Intersection means what? Common elements of A and B will be included. There is no common element between A and B. Therefore, the result is an empty set. So, if the intersection of two sets is an empty set, then those sets are called what? If the intersection of two sets is an empty set, then we'll call them as disjoint sets. In this case, A and B are the disjoint sets, right? Now calculate A and B complement. A intersection B complement. So A intersection B complement means what? Which are not there in A and B. Or else you can write U minus A. The elements present in U but not there in A. Here you have nothing in A, nothing in A intersection B. So the result is U itself. So it contains the elements from 1 to 10. So the result of LHS is universal set only. The result of LHS is universal set only. క్లాస్లో మళ్ళీ చేస్తాను. క్లాస్లో ఉన్న ఒక హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ యాడ్ చేస్తాను. So the result of A in B intersection is equal to your universal set. Now take the RHS part. Your RHS part is A complement union B complement. So first we need to find out A complement. What is A complement? U minus A, the elements that are not present in A. So in A you have 1, 3, 5. So exclude those elements. Therefore A complement will have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In the same way, B complement will be U minus A. Sorry, U minus B. B contains 2, 4, 6, 8. So other than 2, 4, 6, 8. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10. So this is your A complement, this is your B complement. Now what you need to find out? You need to find out A complement union B complement. A complement union B complement means what? Elements of A or elements of B or elements of both in A and B will be included. So it contains 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I am just writing them in the order. 3, 4, 5 we have, 6 is there, 7 is also there, 8, 9, 10. So this is what, ma? This is your universal set. So when you observe this LHS part, the result is universal set, and the result of RHS is also the universal set. Though this De Morgan's law is a valid law. Clear? Now let me explain the third example. So let us discuss the third unit. Sorry, third example. So let me write 1 second. You know that u equal to 1 to 10. U contains 1 to 10. A contains 1, 3, 5. B contains 2, 4, 6, 8. And C contains, actually, in this example, you don't require C also. So, third example is what? Prove that A union, sorry, A intersection. Am I audible, ma? Am I audible? Yes? Yes, okay. So third example is A intersection B union C is equal to A intersection B union A intersection C. So first to take the LHS part. So in the LHS part, first, okay, first you need to prove B union C. So here you require C also, which is 2, 5, 10. C contains 2, 5, 10. So B union C. B union C is what? 2, 4, 6, 8 union 2, 5, 10. So it contains 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. Right? Now A intersection B union C. That means common elements between B union C and A. So 1 is there in A but not there in B. 3 is there here but not there here. 5 is there in both the sets. So the result will be 5 only. So this is the result of your LHS part. Now take the RHS part. The RHS part is A intersection B union A intersection C. First find out A intersection B. So A intersection B. What are the common elements between A and B? 1, 3, 5 we have here. Here we have 2, 4, 6, 8. That means there are no common elements between A intersection A and B. There are no common elements between A and B. And what are the common elements of A and C? A and C. So 1, 3, 5 we have here. Here we have 2, 5, 10. That means the common element is only 5. Now your LHS part, sorry, RHS part is A intersection B union A intersection C. That is empty set union a singleton set. So here it contains only one element. So we'll call it as a singleton set. So the result will be 5 only. So when you observe this LHS and RHS, both are same. Therefore, the distributive law is a valid law. So is it clear for you all? Yes, ma, did you all understand this? So these are the different operations we can perform on set. So with this, I'll stop today's session. I'll take the attendance and after that, I'll start the quiz. You attempt the quiz. Once you are done with that, you can log out. Before that, let me take the attendance. Did every one of you switch on your cameras? I told you in the